Welcome to Comedy by Indie Drop-In. Each week we feature an episode from the best independent creators. Hit subscribe for more great comedy content. Today's featured podcast is Space Castle. Space Castle is your clubhouse and ours for all things nerdy. If you like today's episode of Space Castle, make sure to check out the episode description for links to subscribe. Enjoy the show.
Begin.
This is the flight director. Begin launch status check. CLCDR checking all stations are manned and the system is ready. Give me a go, no go. Talker?
Roger, Houston.
FSC?
That is a go.
Capcom? Navigation?
Navigation?
Don't worry about guidance. We're just gonna...
Wait, what, Houston?
Here we go.
What?
Welcome back to Space Castle. It is your clubhouse and hours for all things nerdy. My name's DT, and I'm mad.
My name's Alex. I'm not mad.
And I'm Seth. I'm indifferent.
I'm mad, guys.
Why?
The nominations for the 2022 Oscar ceremony have come out, and one of my absolute favorite movies of 2021, which was a goddamn fucking masterpiece, was utterly snubbed. Not a single goddamn nomination. It's The Green Knight.
Oh no, now I'm mad.
There you go. Now Alex is mad too. Seth?
I love a Green Knight, but it takes quite a lot to get me mad, so.
And this has been Space Castle, your clubhouse and house for all things nerdy. My name's been DT.
Molotov dong hammer.
I even did an episode with our good friend Billy over it. We watched the thing just gushing about this movie. It is a fucking masterpiece. And it was utterly, completely, not just didn't nominate for Best Picture or Best Supporting Actor. It is not on the board at all. So what I want to talk about is, first of all, that. Second of all, other historic snubs from the Oscars. And you know what? Let's talk about award shows in general, how much they are just completely fucking full of shit.
I have a lot to say about award shows.
Go, do it right now.
First, Green Knight not showing up on any of the noms is the kind of thing that makes me start questioning my memory. It's like, did it come out last year?
It did. I saw it in the theaters. That was one of the rare movies I actually ventured out during COVID to see. And goddamn, I fucking adored it.
It was only the second movie I saw in theaters since the pandemic started.
It was worth it.
It was very good.
I mean, it's not just because it's A24. A24's taking home some Academy Awards.
They've done some good shit. I think Green Knight is too high concept for the Academy.
No
way, it's Arthurian.
I think so.
No, it's so non-high concept.
That's not true at all.
Okay,
Have you watched that movie?
There's some surrealist things that don't jive with what the Academy likes.
It is a loose interpretation of an Arthurian related story.
And?
It's great, but that does not mean that it's Arthurian, therefore Academy worthy. It is high concept, weird.
It's literally the hero's journey.
Every movie's literally hero's journey. That's why it's called the hero's journey.
No.
Okay, well, hold on. The Shape of Water won Best Picture, directed by Guillermo del Toro, where a lady fucks essentially Ape Sapien from Hellboy.
You're not wrong.
And you're telling me the hero's journey of becoming a man and understanding what chivalry and honor means is too high concept for the Academy, but a lady fucking a fish in a bathtub is not high concept?
Okay, first of all, that's not what that movie was about.
That's exactly what that fucking movie was about.
That's not what Green Knight was about either.
Yeah, it was. It totally was.
Maybe loosely.
No, that is exactly what the Green Knight is about.
Guys. Awards show. Awards show.
My point is, the Academy is not the end all for best film. They obviously don't pick best films every time. There's
This is very true.
I can think of fucking a dozen Academy Awards that should not have happened. Fucking Citizen Kane was never given an award.
That is a long story. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
Point is, the Academy sucks and award shows are terrible, and I have a lot to talk about.
Hitchcock never won a Best Director either.
Hitchcock, my boy Stanley Kubrick, who, was kind of an asshole on set, but...
Oh, complete psychopath. Yeah.
The art, though, fuck.
There are a lot of like well-known snubs. Like, we could get into those later, but what is it about award shows that really yuck your yum?
I don't like award shows because it creates this competitive environment around art. And I personally don't think that that is a good thing for art. I don't think that art is meant to be shoehorned into a competition.
I agree, actually.
Well, we have a podcast after all.
Whoa, this is
this is
this
the
is
Spacecast, your
weird.
clubhouse announced for all things nerdy. My name is Ben DT.
I don't know. I mean, some people want something to hang their hat on, right? Like they want to put it on their resume. They want to actually what they want is they want a trophy to put on their shelf and talk about later and say, I was better than other people this year.
They want the prestige so they can sell their next movie with directed by Oscar-nominated director such and such motherfucker. Like, that's what they want.
Like, if it was truly about that, like, if they just wanted the, like, I made this movie and it was great, then they would just put that on, because it's not like a movie's, a college course. It doesn't take 5 years to go through. Like, you can just, like, oh, he directed this movie. Like, yeah, I'll sit down and watch it.
Is it the awards show that bothers you, or is it just accolades in general? Because people need to be able to receive accolades. Like, that's been a thing for...
It's 60-40. It's not the accolades in general, because accolades are worthwhile. It's mostly the act of gamifying art, which is a whole thing that we'll talk about at some point. It's also like the Oscars themselves are dumb and pretentious and frustrating to watch, which is why I haven't watched them in like at least 15 years. The pomp and circumstance is too much.
It's not even pomp and circumstance. It's political. It's paying people off. It's paying for really expensive ads in trade newspapers. It's what's funny is like Tropic Thunder makes this joke. Oh, it's very political. You got to take out a bunch of ads, blah, blah, blah. And that's exactly fucking right. Because like A24 doesn't really throw a bunch of ads out there, and they get nominated for really good movies, but they get snubbed a lot because they don't play that fucking game. And even if you do play that fucking game, you get to the point where it's like whatever movies the Academy happened to watch that year is pretty much what's going to fucking win. Like Forrest Gump beating out fucking Pulp Fiction, like Crash beating out American Beauty. Like you can tell, and the Academy, it's very notorious at this point that they openly almost admit it at this point that they don't watch every fucking movie. They don't watch these movies. They just vote on them. They vote on either what line their pockets with more money, or what was pushed for more politically, or what looks like the Cinderella hit, or like what's gonna increase the publicity for the award show itself, and not always, and often frequently not the movie that actually deserves to win. It's largely political. It's bullshit.
This isn't a podcast about the American political system. It's a podcast about the Oscars.
It mirrors it weirdly too. Like look how few women have won a directorial award.
That, and like the Academy is essentially like an electoral college. Like you have people assembled, not arbitrarily, right? Like there is no popular vote when it comes to the Academy Awards. So like ultimately they're listening and hearing feedback from people, but it's essentially what we're doing is we're allowing people who have been sort of working in this space to determine what the best movies are, but it's not from the perspective of the viewers. It's from the perspective of people making those movies and participating in them and occasionally viewing them. So it doesn't quite work right.
Yeah.
Well, and I like the idea, right? Like in concept, it's a good idea. People that make movies, like industry people, are giving praise to high levels of this art form.
Yeah.
So at like a high level, it makes sense. However, that's not actually how it works. And that's not actually what it is. When a museum contacts an artist to put on a show, that is extremely high praise. There's no ads that have to be put out to win favor for a museum. Like, that's not how that works. I think because movies are such a like pop culture, huge money house, like celebrityism sort of thing, they're in that public eye so much that like the purity of the art form isn't really what any of this is about anymore.
Absolutely. 100% I agree. Yeah.
It kind of sucks, but it's also kind of nice because that means like you get you still get really punk rock gems, right? Fucking tons of dope ass movies that people have hardly heard of that the Academy will never recognize. Notably, mostly sci-fi movies, to be honest. They notoriously get overlooked at the Oscars, but
Except for Gravity.
which also almost certainly should not have won that.
Absolutely fucking not. Gravity was the most average fucking movie that year. I don't understand how it. Again, this is going back to it being political and how much money you pay out and bullshit, because Gravity was not anywhere near the best movie that year. Sandra Bullock's performance was not great. I know a dude who works for NASA. I know dudes who've spent a lot of time analyzing space and space travel and shit like that. And they're like, yeah, no, that movie's bullshit.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't hold up.
Not at all. On any level. Yeah.
You're right, though, Seth. Like, sci-fi doesn't get because it's not prototypical. That's why you get movies that are what they call Oscar bait, right? Where it's just
Period pieces.
Yeah.
period pieces. And then you get a lot of like purposefully edgy films or films that deal with difficult material, I think are super important. Like, you mentioned Moonlight earlier. I think movies like that fully deserve the, Best Picture nod and win. But you get some movies that purposefully try to be edgy and they just slap in some big list actors and then they just don't work at all.
Yeah. Crash.
Oh, yeah, but that one
Crash.
won. That one won.
Crash beating out American Beauty for Best Picture was some of the most horseshit crap I've ever seen at the Academy Awards. And it fits directly into what you're saying, because American Beauty was the Sam Mendes movie, and it was this like look and analysis at life, what life means, what getting older means, and like all these intertwining, like beautifully woven storylines, and it's just this gorgeous film. Kevin Spacey aside, obviously he's become very problematic, but even he's amazing in it, sadly. Crash is this incredibly fucking heavy-handed, schlocky, after-school special-esque movie, and it's the most heavy-handed, horribly fucking acted piece of shit. And it won Best Picture.
You're notorious for hating that movie.
I hate that fucking movie. It takes a good message, and it just schlockifies the fuck out of it so bad that it just becomes pandering and insulting. Like, it reaches a point where it just becomes, if you're trying to get a message across, you're trying to make the world a better place with the message you're trying to portray in your film, and you end up like making it a farce, like, you fucked up. And that's exactly what Crash did. And the fact that it beat out American Beauty for Best Picture that year is bullshit. It was awful.
Saving Private Ryan. That's the one I always point to.
God, right?
Like, I know plenty of people that love Shakespeare in Love. And I don't dislike that movie actively. It's got an all-star cast. I mean, I guess
Judi Dench,
Saving
man.
Private Ryan too, but
Go Gwyneth Paltrow.
oh my goodness. Ben Affleck. Gwyneth Paltrow.
You know what? Don't sleep on Affleck. Affleck's all right. He's all right in my book.
I am an Affleck proponent. I think he's way better than he gets credit for. Both of them.
Jeffrey Rush is in it. I mean, it's just stacked, and that's why I feel like it walked away with it. Scorsese's historically been snubbed.
Jesus.
Constantly. Fucking even the year Gravity took a bunch of shit. Scorsese had what was it?
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street, thank you.
Scorsese got beat out for Wolf of Wall Street with Alfonso Cuarón in Gravity.
Which just makes zero fucking sense at all. I love Cuarón, but what the fuck?
Jesus, man. Looking at the list of nominations for various categories that Gravity beat, it's absolutely wild. They beat out The Grandmaster, Inside Llewyn Davis, Nebraska, Prisoners, 12 Years a Slave, Wolf of Wall Street, American Hustle. I honestly can't believe that Gravity beat any of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dallas Buyers Club? Dude.
Right?
12 Years a Slave won Best Picture that year.
Yes, but it lost in the other 4 categories that it was nominated for. And Gravity won 3 of those.
Yeah. I don't get it. This is again, the credibility of the Academy is so out the fucking window that it's like watching any football game in which the LA Rams are present, because the NFL really wants that fucking Los Angeles Super Bowl so they can rake in that money and turn LA into a viable fucking market. And my friend Dalen's going to give me shit for saying this because he gets tired of it every time I say this. But that's how it goes. It's like, you can tell it's fucking rigged. It's so fucking rigged as far as it possibly can be without being just horribly, blatantly fucking obvious.
And it's just like it seems like the Academy is trying to correct itself over and over again. Like they get criticized for one thing and then it's, all right, let's flip the script and try something new. They don't know how to do it. They're not doing it right. It's not working.
Right.
We're at the point where nobody wants to host the Oscars because it's just a liability.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to host it. Nobody wants to fucking watch it. The ratings keep going down every year. They keep trying to do something different and drag in viewers, and people get like lulled into watching it. And it's just this horrible fucking like illegitimate shit fest every year. Every year.
I'm still drawn to watch it, but I don't like set it on my calendar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I was thinking about it and I'm like, oh yeah, the Academy Awards on, I will flip it on just to watch because I want to just see the train wreck, but also, but also I don't like plan for it. You know, I used to, I was big time in film school. Absolutely. I went to Oscar parties. I dressed up, you know, I think it was the year with Great Gatsby, you know, Baz Luhrmann. I put on my best Gatsby attire, slicked back my hair, went to a Oscars party, and we played a drinking game and made bets on who would win.
That is the most film school thing I've ever heard.
Totally.
awesome.
It's fucking glorious. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it glorious though?
It's glorious. That's pretty fucking dope, honestly. It's awesome.
It wasn't like black tie or anything, but the idea was that you weren't going to show up in like jeans and a t-shirt like everybody. You're going to the Oscars, except it wasn't black tie. So that was the rule, cause college, you know, and there were hors d'oeuvres and whatever. And you show up and there's like a ballot and then you mark off your answers for who you think would win best picture, who you think would win best editing, director, costume design, everything all the way down the line.
Let me stop you right there, because when you say hors d'oeuvres at a college party, are we talking like the fancy Doritos or like?
So it's like a tiny 1-bedroom apartment with a balcony, which was needed to have one. And our host was very into creating like bacon wrapped smokies and shrimp.
Fuck.
And like, yeah. And
So they were in the culinary tract for a degree, is what you're saying.
So did you go to film school at Berkeley or like what the
no,
fuck?
no, but we knew what it was. Like when you show up, you didn't show up empty handed. My personal rule for myself was every time I showed up, I brought a bottle of Crown Royal.
That
right?
sounds like college.
And because film school, most of the time I left, it was gone by the time I left.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Along with the other people who also brought something similar, like Crown Royal or whatever it was. It was, yeah. Yeah. One time we did a drinking game called the Dirty 30, where you just drink a shit ton of Carlo Rossi. I won't get into the details, but it didn't go well.
What was the movie you watched? Was it the Jennifer Garner and Mark Ruffalo classic 13 going on 30?
No, we had a director. It was in my 401 class where we had to emulate a director, and my director was unfortunately Terrence Malick.
No.
Yeah, and Tree of Life had just come out, so we used that as a reference point. And I think the Carlo Rossi night was the night we tried to watch Tree of Life, and it just didn't work. Thankfully, we were all super drunk while watching Tree of Life, because otherwise I would not have been able to get through 20 minutes of that movie. I think we stopped it after like an hour.
I'm pretty sure Terrence Malick was drunk while making Tree of Life, so you guys were like on the same wavelength, like you were speaking his native language or understanding his native language at that point.
Anyway, we you know, in the communications building, you trade like, who do you think is going to get the nods this year and whatever, and those parties were fun, but ultimately it was kind of like the last time I watched the Oscars and thought it was fun and interesting.
Yeah.
Other than like when DT and I watched it at SBC.
Yeah, Scottsdale Beer Company back in the day.
Because that was like our cheers. Like you show up, you sit down, you have familiar faces and friends and delicious beer, delicious food and appetizers. And then, okay, is Leo going to get it this year? Okay, finally he got it with The Revenant of all movies. Like,
So, if I remember correctly, Alex and I made a bet that if Leo got the Oscar, we were going to do a shot, and I think our waitress did a shot with us. I think I'm not going to name her name because she was drinking she was drinking on the job, but it was Leo, and he got it for The Revenant. I think we did fucking green tea shots, which
green teas, yeah, it was green teas.
Green tea was always our thing at SBC, Scottsdale Beer Company, because I don't remember how you make them, but it's a combination of alcohols and liquors that should not fucking work and are awful on their own. But if you combine them in the right quantities, they taste exactly like Arizona green tea. So you're getting fucked up on something that's also delicious and wildly refreshing at the same time. Awesome.
Yeah, it's Jameson, peach schnapps, and the third component I can't remember, but those are the
Triple sec.
Triple sec. There you go. So it sounds like it should be sweeter than it is, but I don't know. I wouldn't have peach schnapps on its own, but I would have Jameson on its own for sure.
Yeah, totally. But super fucking tasty. But yeah.
It tells you what kind of place this place was, that they were like willing to let us watch the Oscars in the middle of this sports bar.
Yeah. So we'd show up like we did like 3 years in a row, and we'd sit down and we were like, yo, Doug and Tom, like the owners, like, hey, there's like 9 people in here. Can we put the Oscars on? And they'd be like, yeah, okay, sure. And we'd be like, hey, Doug and Tom, can we also put it on the house sound? And they'd be like, fine.
Sure.
Only because you put all of our kids through fucking college with all the drinking and fucking nachos you guys have had over the last 5 years.
Many of your friends who have become my friends since I've met at SBC.
Yeah.
Many of the times that we've like collaborated and brainstormed about things like Space Castle have happened at SBC.
Yeah. Shiloh, your daughter, had her very first Super Bowl at SBC.
Yeah. She was there 8-9 days after she was born.
And it was weird. Like, she slapped her fucking little tiny hand on the table. It was like, I want the double IPA. And we're like, fucking get her what she wants. Do you want to chase that with a green tea shot? And she was like, I don't know. We'll play it by ear. And I was like, fuck, you're a Carol.
At one point, she'll be able to drink under the table. At least a year or two from now.
Yeah, well, she's 3 now. Give her like another year and a half, 2 years. Yeah. The stresses of kindergarten will drive her to drink, and she'll be putting you to shame for sure.
We've spent too long not dunking on the Oscars, so can we go back to that?
Let's continue dunking on the Oscars. Leonardo DiCaprio went fucking decades without an Oscar. And I hate that the Oscars have gotten to the point where they start awarding Oscars to people almost in like a ceremonial fashion because they've earned it over decades of work. And they're like, well, I guess we're going to fucking give it to him. Like Martin Scorsese. The motherfucker has made some of the best movies of all time, and he's consistently been one of the greatest directors of all time. And they finally got to the point where it's like, okay, we've given like 3 6 Mafia an Oscar. We should probably give Scorsese one. So what's his next movie? I'm not gonna watch it. We'll just give him the Oscar. And it was for The Departed, which I fucking love dearly. But how does Scorsese get an Oscar for The Departed and not Casino or Goodfellas? What the fuck?
Goodfellas should have been the Oscar.
Well, Goodfellas is one of the famous massive snubs of the Oscars. So
absolutely, man.
I don't know, man. I think it's all politics and nepotism, and there's occasional art awards in there, and then you have like Lifetime Achievement Awards. The Lifetime Achievement Award seems like one of the only like real and worthwhile Oscars that are still being awarded. There's no like, oh, everybody else is voting for this movie and like I haven't seen it, so I'll vote for it too. There's none of that. It's very much like, hey, this is like, we're literally recognizing an entire career of achievement and greatness and stuff. Like it feels like what I expect something like an Oscar to actually feel like.
Yeah. It's so weird that so frequently, like, and we talked earlier in the episode about how it really shouldn't be a competition, but like I would say at least once a year, you get a movie that is just head and shoulders above the competition. That is just an absolute fucking pinnacle achievement of the art form of filmmaking. And it happens way too fucking often that movie is not rewarded for being literally the best fucking movie that year.
Yeah, like Dune.
Like fucking, I think we mentioned it earlier in this episode, how like Shakespeare in Love.
Unreal.
Won the best picture Oscar the year it came out. Like Forrest Gump won that best picture that year too, and it's like
Forrest Gump is great. It's
not that great. It doesn't fucking hold up.
I didn't say it held up. I like the Forrest Gump winning. I don't think was like all of that out of left field. Like I think that it may have been a close race, but that one seems like it probably should have won.
It had scale. Yeah.
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 Why do we keep watching the Oscars? Are we even going to watch the Oscars?
I haven't seen an Oscar ceremony in 15 years.
Perfect.
Like maybe when Avatar and Lord of the Rings were still getting Oscars, like that was probably the last time I saw one.
I don't think Jack Nicholson has actually seen an Oscar ceremony for the last 15 years either, despite actually fucking being there.
Despite being there, yeah.
The thing is, the Academy Awards could be a like nice condensed hour-long show, and instead they try to make it like the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like in reality, you don't need these like bits and whatever. You could do cold opens, and you can do some occasional like, oh, here's a performance of one of the candidates for, best original song this year or whatever. And that's great. Like I love that. Live performance is important for those kind of things, but you don't need this like these monologues and these I'm forcing this because it was written by some intern that went up the line and they're like, yeah, that's funny enough. Okay, let's do it. Because now all it is it's a podium for actors who are, generally speaking, a little bit
drunk.
Well, a little bit, maybe a little bit drunk, but not. They're a little bit maybe narcissistic, or they everybody's got an agenda, and that's what the Oscars are now. It's like, all right, and they've become more political because of that, which is funny because at the beginning of this episode we started talking about like how the Oscars are inherently political, but now it's becoming overtly political.
Different type of politics, though. Like it's political in the sense that it's political within its own realm. Like I said before, like it's all about like buying ads and literally fucking campaigning for your nominee and your hopeful win. Politics in the Oscars themselves traditionally have always been disallowed. Like there's been several instances within Oscar history where somebody has tried to bring up actual politics. Michael Moore, he's gotten up on stage. He won an Oscar one year. I think it was for like a 9/11 documentary or something, which is you give him an award, you know what's going to happen. He gets up on stage and people boo him. Not because they disagree with him, but because it is tradition for the Oscars to boo anybody who tries to use that platform for politics. Marlon Brando once won an Oscar, and instead of going up on stage, he sent a representative from Native America, like an actual like Native American up there to receive the award and speak on his behalf for, I feel shameful for not remembering what the speech was about, but she got booed too. Not because of what she was saying, but because the Oscars have never allowed that to be a platform for like political, like speaking or any type of like grandstanding or soapbox standing. So a different form of politics, like actual like politics that fucking mean something are not supposed to be part of the Oscars. And they have become as of late. You're right, Alex.
I want to like elaborate on what I was saying before. They become political overtly. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. If I won an Oscar for anything, I would want to be able to take my time that was allotted and say my piece. If I had something important to say, sure, whatever. But at the end of the day, that's what this award show has become, because now it's just one person after the other going, all right, I have to tell my agenda now. I have to tell you what I believe in, whatever. And it used to be, thank you. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the 21 Pilots Grammy Award speech. Do you guys remember that?
Oh, I don't watch the Grammys ever.
I don't either, but I saw this clip and it reminded me, I was like, oh, okay, so this is what like award speeches should be. They, as soon as they were awarded, the two of them stood up, took their pants off, yes, and walked up on stage in their boxers. And when they got up on stage, they said, hey, 15 years ago when we started a band, we decided that if we ever won a Grammy, we would go up in our underwear because award shows are like that. And he kind of pauses and the crowd gets a little uneasy. And he said, so if these two idiots can do it, anybody out there watching this can do it too. So like follow your dreams. And then they left. That was it. It was like they had a thing to say. It took them 25 seconds and then that was it. It was great. It was a great little speech. And it was a really like memorable little gesture too, which I think is really good. It wasn't like Ricky Gervais at the BAFTAs where he got up and did like a 5-minute speech about how comedy sucks now.
Right.
Like, fuck off, man.
He just like dug into everyone there though, didn't he?
Yeah. Which like I kind of get. And it's a lot of that stuff is like things that are worthwhile in the telling, but like that is not really the space or time for it, you know?
There's a level of tact. there is a level of tact that you're meant to have. Like if you're at a black tie affair, there's meant to be some decorum. Like if you had somebody show up in flip-flops and a tank top to the Oscars, it would just be a publicity stunt. They're just trying to grab the spotlight. And in a room full of people who are accustomed to having the spotlight, it wouldn't go over very well, right?
Yeah, totally.
So it's constantly people trying to find the edge and then test it. And it's just awkward. It's weird to watch. It's weird to watch because what I'm most concerned about is, can we continue to make good art? Can we continue to like benefit the whole of humanity with new and interesting ideas brought about by filmmaking? I don't know. I think that's what everybody wants. And I think when we watch the Oscars, we're like, okay, this is encouraging because this person was recognized for something that I really want to see more of in future filmmaking.
I think that's exactly the change and pivot point to where award shows like the Oscars completely lose touch for me. Like I cannot stand them because ostensibly you'd expect them to be an award show for themselves. We're like, hey, here's a big group of actors and directors and people in the industry. We're going to acknowledge and commemorate the dope shit that the other people in our industry have done this year. And it's meant to be viewed from an audience outside the industry for that exact reason, Alex, where it's like, I saw somebody do a thing that I really enjoyed and like, maybe I can do that too, or like it helps inspire you. However, it has kind of changed in that it is no longer or maybe not no longer, but maybe not ever, in awards to commemorate themselves in the industry, right? It's them celebrating their peers. And instead it is about the audience outside of the industry now. It's not about the people in the industry anymore.
You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right. It's pageantry instead of awarding greatness within their own sort of industry.
Right. Because of that little linchpin change, the rest of it cascades out of control and out of purview, and it's no longer something that I care about.
Seth, has anybody ever told you you're a smart motherfucker?
You're an insightful dude.
Motherfucker. I haven't watched the Oscars in 15 years, but here is exactly what's fucking wrong with it and how to fix it. I love you,
look,
man.
I like to know why I make decisions, you know?
The philosopher Seth. I feel like it's just year after year there's something going wrong, right? Like you had the whitewashing, you had the nobody wants to host, you had the you had COVID then, and then now, there's all kinds of problems with like deadlines for inputting movies that were made in the year 2021, right? So like the best example right now is that and here maybe I'll wrinkle some feathers with DT because I know he's not as huge a fan of Lin-Manuel Miranda as I am.
Oh, here we fucking go.
But Encanto, there's a song called "We Don't Talk About Bruno" that is super, super popular. It's actually surpassed "Let It Go" as the biggest Disney song ever. Like it's more popular than "Let It Go" was, which is
crazy.
You could not go anywhere a few years ago and not hear that song, and still it's an earworm for anyone. It's like that if you like drinking pina coladas and getting caught in the rain, like that's what "Let It Go" is. And "We Don't Talk About Bruno" is that for this new generation. It is not nominated. Instead, the nomination is I think it's called Dos Oruguitas, which I think, if I said that right, it means the two caterpillars, which was a song that's very important to the film. However, Disney submitted that before the cutoff so that they could make it for an Oscar bid, but they didn't realize that their secondary song was going to be a smash hit. And so in reality, Lin-Manuel is getting robbed of his EGOT because "We Don't Talk About Bruno" is one of the most popular animated songs ever made. And
they couldn't make the cutoff.
And it's weird because in reality, it was released at the right time, but the studios are submitting whatever they think is most marketable, which shouldn't be the thing. They should be able to see what the people enjoyed and then submit that like, hey, here we go. This is something that is widely enjoyed.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be that. It should be like, that was a really fucking well orchestrated song.
It shouldn't be a submission process.
Thank you. It shouldn't be taking out ads and being like, please watch my movie and like nominate me. It should be like, holy fuck, that guy was amazing. Let's nominate him.
It should be for like the whole first month of the year. The Academy like gets together and talks about the shit that happened and the things they went through and the things they saw and all that stuff, and like cover the film industry. Not like, oh, these 85 studios have submitted these things for these awards. Like, no, like it should be reactionary or a retrospective of the industry. It's not like a campaign. Yeah.
Yes. Fucking A, dude. You just made the headliner clip for this episode right there. You're absolutely right, though. It's like everybody's like submitting and begging for an award, as opposed to like a committee, like the Academy, actually watching everything that comes out and taking notes. Like, holy shit, that guy was amazing. Let's make a mark. Let's talk about nominating him. And watching everything that comes out, which is a Herculean fucking task, but you're on the fucking Academy. That is your task. You don't wait and see who wants to spend enough money to put ads in a newspaper to grab your attention, and you'll be like, oh, okay, fucking, we'll nominate him. Fuck that. Fuck that.
I've heard people upset about that idea, right? It's like people, they can't watch every film that's released. It's like,
hire interns. Hire me. I'll watch everything. I will watch fucking everything.
The ones that they're referring to that like will get lost in the release schedule aren't the ones that are being released in theaters. They're the indie films, the ones that show up at Sundance and then get a theatrical release 4 years later. Like those films have Sundance. They have other places to get those awards. The Academy is about theatrical releases. Like you can easily watch all of the theatrical releases.
It is no longer about theatrical releases because Don't Look Up, which was on Netflix exclusive, which I am sorry was a piece of shit and wildly over fucking rated. Somebody paid off the fucking Academy to get that nomination for Best Picture because that does not fucking belong on the Best Picture list when The Green Knight has been completely ignored for every fucking category. It's all about paying people off. It's all about like slipping money under the table and campaigning politically to get your shit noticed. It's bullshit.
You'd think the proper process would be cream rises to the top.
I'm the cream of the crop. Rise to the top. I'll never eat a pig because pig is a cop. I'm going to edit that part out because we don't want the cops coming after me.
What I'm trying to get at is that's how Hollywood works right now in terms of films that are made originally. You submit a script and it gets put in a slush pile, and then you take a collective. I don't know how many. What would you call what's the collective noun for a group of Hollywood interns who do script coverage?
Bitches.
I would call them scribbles.
Scribbles is pretty good. I think.
So you have your scribble of coverage interns, and the scribble takes a look at all of the slush pile, and then they eventually find things that they're like, oh, this is actually pretty good. Okay. And I'll pass it to my higher up, who then passes it to a producer, who then passes it to their 5 people that do their beta coverage. And then eventually you find a set of people that are willing to make this film. And then wham, that's how you get your original movie made. It's very rare now because you've got to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, but that's how it works. But ultimately, like, how is that not how it works?
Yeah, the blacklist, like the fabled blacklist, is the list of scripts that have essentially been optioned or like the really hot properties that are floating around Hollywood. Used to be like a fabled thing. Used to be like if you got your script on the fucking blacklist, like that was your ticket for life. Your movie's going to be made. It's going to be really fucking good. Your career's going to take off. Now the blacklist is like, oh, whose fucking nephew are you?
Yeah. Well, and you think about it, like everybody likes to cite Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and how they wrote Good Will Hunting, and then they just like immediately went to a studio and sold it, and then it was made, and then Matt Damon starred in it, and both of them.
That's not how that happened, though.
No, it's not. They went to like 4 or 5 different places. Everybody said no. They went to another place, and then eventually they gave up on it, and then they came back. Kevin Smith got involved. They rewrote scenes. Everybody else got involved. They rewrote more scenes, and then eventually it got made, and then they won the Oscar. And this all happens over the course of like 8 months, right? That's wild. And in reality, what should happen for the Oscars is that like the people who are in charge of the Academy, the people on the Academy, in the Academy, however you want to say that with the proper preposition, they're watching as much as they possibly can, and they have an idea in their head of the things that they find most enjoyable. But then you have other people who are pointing them at like, hey, have you seen this thing? You need to watch it. Do your due diligence and watch this thing. There you go. That's your entire job. If you want to be on the Academy, you got to be able to say, here you go.
The whole thing has changed in general, both for the people who are watching like us and for the people who are actually involved. Like when Ben Affleck and Matt Damon won the Best Original Screenplay Oscar for Good Will Hunting, their excitement and their pride and their just elation was genuine. Like they were out of their fucking minds.
Well, they put a lot of work into that screenplay.
They did, and it was a great fucking movie. But it was these two kids from fucking New England who just wrote the script and put their hearts into it, and it blew up and it launched their careers. Or like Adrian Brody when he won the Oscar for the Pianist. He jumped up on stage and he fucking grabbed Halle Berry and fucking kissed her, which is problematic now. But that elation was so goddamn genuine. And now today, the Oscars feel like pageantry. Like somebody goes up and they win the Oscar, and their speech is even it's either like fucking overly long and rehearsed, and like they knew they're gonna fucking win beforehand, and they get played off with the music, or they just go up and they're like, oh well, I'd like to thank my mom and my agent, blah blah blah, and they walk off. There's no excitement for them either anymore. Like it's so fucking like just homogenized and boring and politicized, and it's not about rewarding the people who have like done this fucking amazing thing and like having everybody recognize this amazing thing they did. It's like, yep, all those ads I paid for and all those, expensive dinners that I sent to people's houses and, all that shit finally paid off and I got my Oscar. I'm just gonna fucking put it next to my Nintendo Switch. I'm just kidding. None of those fucking people have a Nintendo Switch. They've all got fucking PS5s because they've got the hookup with the fucking supply chains. Assholes.
And that, friends, is why I really enjoyed watching Cinefix movie lists on YouTube, their yearly award show. Because their awards it's a small company of like 6 people who absolutely adore cinema. Used to be. Now it's owned by IGN, and they're still doing okay, but it's not quite the same. But it was like they just fucking loved movies and was like, hey, I saw this French film that is absolutely blew me away, and everybody agrees it's amazing, and we're saying it's this great movie in this category for this year. You should go watch it. It's great. My knowledge of cinema has gotten so much deeper with those kinds of things than it has with anything from the Oscars.
I think we should do our own award show for movies every year in March, where the 3 of us watch a whole bunch of fucking movies. We commit to it, and we receive money under the table and all kinds of personal favors and whatnot to choose who's the best.
Of course, yeah.
We do our own award show, and I had a name in mind, and now that I'm about to say it out loud, I'm going to fucking change the name of it somehow, some way. I was gonna call it the Spaceys.
Nope, hard pass.
Can't do it.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss.
I love this idea with one change. I propose we do it at the end of the year. One, I don't want to deal with Oscar shit. Like, oh, they're just doing an awards show because the Oscars are doing it. Haha. But also, I think it makes way more sense to do it at the end of the year because it's also like a look back of like cinema or whatever, right? That we enjoyed that year. Like, I think this is a great idea. We should totally do this.
We're gonna fucking do it.
We can do that for the end of this year. But this year we should release our own Oscar corrections. Well, like who should have got the nod, who should have won it. Because we don't know who won yet, but we will soon. And I think we're going to disagree with a lot of the winners.
Well, I disagree with all the fucking nominations. So
that's what I said. Who got the nod, right? So we can submit our own nominations, and then we all anonymously vote on who won. And the funny thing is, I think we're all going to vote for different things.
It does not have to be anonymous. As soon as anybody hears about what won, they'll be like, oh, yeah, okay. I know which of the 3 of us. Oh, Green Knight took it again. I wonder who voted for that.
We bring our patrons in on it, and maybe anybody can submit nominations as well. But I think it would be a blast to do like what our picks would be.
I think this is a great idea that needs a bit of workshopping.
So everything having to do with this podcast.
What are we going to call it?
I don't know. Let's think on that later. We'll figure that out. In the meantime, Goldblum has just slipped a $50 bill and a filet mignon onto my lap under the table.
No.
I think he wants a little attention. I think he feels left out.
I thought you were about to say that he slipped a filet mignon under the door, and I was like, what? What the fuck?
Well, it's really kind of fucking shoved it under there. Like there's blood everywhere. It's not cooked. It's just raw. It's fucking the bacon fell off of it.
Yeah, well, he's still learning.
He's getting there. He's learning the ways of humans.
Oh God, what are we doing?
Let's change that up. Let's not have him learn the ways of humans.
We want to avoid that. We learned that from Asimov.
Yeah, it's a hard pass for me. It's gonna be a no for me, dog.
0 out of 10. Do not recommend.
0 out of 10. You don't recommend giving Goldblum human intellect or making American Idol references, because I think both.
Messages from Earth, guys? Do you want to hear some messages from Earth?
I always want to hear the messages from Earth.
Yeah, let's rip it.
Do you? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna take this cartridge and put it into the thing and play this message from Earth. Here we go. I don't know why it sounded like the fucking milkshake maker at McDonald's. Alex is dead.
I gotta work on my Foley, okay? I give mad props to anybody who can do impromptu Foley.
Alex is going to start up his car and leave this podcast. Oh, God. Let's end this segment so we can move on. Well, that's Jetsons. That's dope. That's legit right there.
Yo, do you guys know the Jetsons take place in 2061? We're not gonna make it. we're not gonna get there.
Did you know the Flintstones took place in 2023 at this fucking rate? Let's stop subjugating our listeners to this.
Oh, dude, I assumed you were gonna cut.
I figured
all
this
of
is
this
all
out.
gonna be cut out. Yeah.
No, you'd be surprised.
Hey, it's Misty and Liz with Talking Literature.
We're sisters who don't know shit about literature, but we love to hang out and talk about the books we've read.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Talking Literature and on Twitter at Talk Literature.
And look for us wherever you listen to podcasts.
So Alex has spent a lot of time and a lot of money putting out newspaper ads and commercials and ads in trade newspapers because he really wanted the attention for the deep space this week. I have awarded it to him. Congratulations, Alex. Here is your award. You're this week's deep space. Keep your speech to 10 minutes minimum.
I'd like to thank, there's so many people, right? I mean, I'd really like to talk to you about my love for pretzels. Here's the thing.
Hey, Seth, can you play him off real quick? Just...
No, you did it, you son of a bitch. All right, here's what we're gonna do. You know what I'm gonna do with my deep space recon? What I've been doing? I've veered my reconnaissance shuttle out and into the turf that DT usually likes to explore, and
Florence Pugh forums?
what I have to tell you guys about this week is a band that I've been listening to. Yeah, a band that I've been listening to. They are a
Alex, if this is Lin-Manuel Miranda, you're fucking fired.
They're a soul pop / R&B band. They're called Lawrence. They're a duo band with that has since expanded to 8 people, based out of New York, and they're just fantastic. Like, they're very upbeat. They remind me of, like, if you like Bleachers and you take out all the melancholy.
I love Bleachers.
Yeah, they've got a lot of soul. Like, it's fully a soul pop band. Like, it's 2 siblings primarily. They're the lead, or the front, I guess. It's Clyde and Gracie Lawrence, hence Lawrence, the name of the band. And they run around with a band that has a guitar, bari sax, alto sax, keys, which is what Clyde plays, drums, trumpet, and I might be missing one band member, but just fantastic. I ran across them on YouTube, and they have all kinds of good stuff. They've opened for Jacob Collier. They've opened for John Bellion. They're kind of new to the scene, young kids, 24, 21, something like that. But yeah, their music is fantastic. And I've just been needing something that's a little bit more upbeat or melancholy in the right way. Like I don't want to get like down in the dumps right now. So I need something that's a little bit more spunky, and they have that. The brass is really good. The singing is just phenomenal. Like their brother and sister, Clyde and Gracie Lawrence, are the two front people, and they just feed off each other very well. One thing that I thought was really cool too is what they did recently. They did a listen live concert. So they had a thing where you could get on an app and get some headphones at the concert, and then you could via the app like hear the house mix and then change what you were listening to. Like if you wanted to just listen to the drums for a beat, you could listen to that live, like while they were playing. If you wanted to listen to just like the singing, essentially create your own mix during the concert, which is just wild to me.
That's really fucking cool.
It's cool because I think that you should be able to interpret art in your own way, like however you choose to do that. Because initially I was like, that's kind of strange. Like, shouldn't you just listen to the thing? But after I thought about it some more, it's like, it's rad. Like they give you the opportunity to say, if you're a musician and you're in the crowd and you just want to like hear how the guitarist is just like jamming, you could just do that. You could listen to the bass player just while the entire concert is going on. It was wild. They're doing all kinds of cool things. They were just picked up. John Bellion is a pretty popular, singer, rapper, songwriter, musician right now. And he created his own label. And this was the first band that he picked up.
Sweet, man.
Wow. All right.
Lawrence, I'm going to see what I'm going to do is I've been editing this podcast so long that I know all of your ums and uhs and just by the fucking waveforms. So I'm going to put in a fucking Lawrence and just go on autopilot when I edit this episode and just cut that shit out and slice it. See, I know. I can picture that in my head right now. I know exactly what that looks like. But for real, I'm going to check out Lawrence because I am all about that sound you just described. And artists doing weird, cool, innovative shit with their shows and their music in general is super dope to me because
hell yeah,
a lot of music tends to get kind of stagnant, and I'm super into artists who are like fucking around and trying shit.
Explore the space.
I would recommend you start with "Don't Lose Sight" is one of their great tracks. So is "Casualty." Those are two of my favorites. So give those a go.
Perfect. Right on. Alex, I award you the award for best spacey, for best deep space recon of this week. I'm not going to fucking call it spacey.
I am voting. This is me putting it to committee. I vote that we call the Space Castle Awards a pogger.
A pogger?
A pogger?
Yeah. One, it's fun to say. 2, top quality meme factor. 3, did I mention it's fun to say?
What if we call them the Castles?
0.
Yeah.
C- minus for effort too.
I'm ashamed of myself. I really am.
You get a 7 and a 2 out of 10 Goldblums for those.
I feel like Warren Beatty when he announced the wrong film as the best picture of the year.
Womp. Oofa doofa.
Right?
It still hurts.
Moonlight was a great film. La La Land was pretty good too, but not the best film that year.
No, it wasn't.
Guys, we have a listener question.
What?
Are you ready?
I was born ready.
We have a listener question. We have people who listen to this. We have people who listen to this podcast, if you can fucking believe it. I don't know why they subjugate themselves to this. I feel like the same people who listen to Space Castle are the same type of people who watch the Oscars every year because they just like to see a fucking train wreck. And I don't blame them because that shit's wildly entertaining. But no, we've got a listener question. This one comes from George. Thank you, George. Seth, before I read the question, would you like to tell the people how George got in touch with us and how they can get in touch with us and ask us their own questions?
Thank you. I would love to mention that. I'll keep my speech to under 4 minutes. You see, when I first decided...
Thank you, Alex. I was going to ask, but you were already on top of it. Perfect.
Yeah, man. You can fucking hit us at On Twitter or Instagram at Space Castle Pod. That's the handle. I'm not saying you can hit us at the place. It's a handle. @ Space Castle Pod. Duh. Get with it.
That was excellent. Seth, I award you the Spacey Award for Best Telling People How They Can Get in Contact with Us award this week.
3 out of 10 gold blooms.
You keep saying that award, and I like it less every time you say it.
Thank God this is audio and not text form, because if we were to put this out in text form, the SEO would be super fucked. Anyway, we got a question from George. The question is, and I quote, which sitcom characters would you be most happy and or anxious to see moving in next door to you?
Well, okay, that's two. That's two things. Those are different.
You've got a choice.
You've got. Oh, okay, it's a choice.
Yeah.
And my answer is Schmidt, for both, because I'd be most happy and anxious about being next to Schmidt.
Oh.
From New Girl. Here's the thing. Schmidt works in marketing. I work in marketing. I think we could be buds. I think we'd be straight off buds, and then there'd be like a maybe 9 episode gap where we wouldn't be buds, and then we'd be buds again. And the 9 episode gap would be all me. I'd be like, "Oh, look, bud, I need to take some time, man."
What amount of your actual day-to-day life does 9 episodes take up? How long is that?
Yeah, are you planning on getting pregnant and being temporarily written out so you could be on jury duty or something? Like, why 9 episodes?
9 episodes, at least 14 months. Yeah, like at least like a year and some change.
Are these bi-monthly episodes? What?
No. I'm building up mystique. Okay, and I put myself into the show already in this situation. Okay, so here I am. I'm in the show, and I'm building up some mystique. You're like, whatever happened to that? Oh, here he is again. 9 episodes later. Wham.
Okay.
We're gonna have an episode where we explain to Alex how TV works.
No, I understand.
Alex, I revoke your Spacey Award for Deep Space.
Thank God.
I award you 0 points. And we're all dumber for having heard what you just said. I'm just kidding.
That was bad, and you should feel bad, which is a perfect transition into who I would pick, both happy and excited. Professor Farnsworth.
Would you be happy or anxious about Professor Farnsworth?
Yes.
Both?
Correct. Have you seen that show?
I love that show. We did a whole episode about how lovely that show is. I am well known in these parts for my Farnsworth impression, yes.
It would be both great because, have you seen the show? But also, it would be highly anxiety inducing because come on, have you seen the show?
It's better than Alex's pick.
I disagree. I think they're equally good.
Seth, how many episodes would you mysteriously disappear for after initially meeting Professor Farnsworth?
I would probably disappear for a 2 or 3 year mid-series break to make 2 or 3 movies.
Fuck, all right.
You're not going to let me retcon this, are you?
Absolutely fucking not. No. My series of sitcom characters that I would be most excited and also anxious or upset to see moving in next door to me would be the cast of Friends. Because those motherfuckers are loud, and it became a trope in their show to piss off their neighbors, to be like, oh, pissed off the neighbors again, sorry. Fuck that shit. But I would also be really happy because Jennifer Aniston, guys, goddamn. Peak Jennifer Aniston, amazing. Yep. Oh, you guys are stomping around and fucking screaming at your monkey and talking about your relationship super loud. Send Jennifer Aniston downstairs to talk to me about it. It'll be all right.
That took a little bit of a heel turn. I got to be honest with you. I was not expecting that. Mostly because the entire cast of Friends is an absolute garbage fire that I would hate living anywhere in the same building of, regardless of who it is.
No, absolutely. No, it'd be fucking horrible. But as a single guy living in America, if Jennifer Aniston moved in next door to me, I'd be like, never moving away. I'll stop as much as you want.
Who's the most reasonable Friends cast member that you'd be okay with?
Weirdly enough, Joey. He'd be dope to hang out with and have some beers with and chill. Watch fucking Baywatch.
I was thinking maybe Chandler might be a second place too.
No, Chandler would show up and want to tell me all his problems, and I'd be like, fuck that guy, fuck it. No, I'd just chill and like drink beers and eat sandwiches with Joey and watch Baywatch. It'd be dope. Yeah. All the fucking people, especially towards the end of that sitcom, were so wildly fucking insufferable. And Joey's the one who is largely unchanged and doesn't grow and still relatively like likable. Everybody else turns into a fucking sociopath and a nutcase. So, but Jennifer Aniston, she's fine as shit. So, you know, whatever.
Well, okay, look, I've seen How I Met Your Mother. There's a graph for this.
The hot crazy graph? I mean,
The hot crazy graph.
Mm.
You know, I was gonna say How I Met Your Mother. The entire cast would be kind of fun to live next to.
Except Lily, she's awful. She's the worst.
I would most want to hang out with Marshall, probably. Yeah.
They're all like a 6 at best. Like, at best. So, like.
No, Marshall's dope as fuck. He's like an 8.5 out of 10, probably.
Yeah, okay.
He's got to ditch that awful fiance/wife of his who was
Well,
meddling and manipulative and just all around evil throughout the whole fucking series.
I don't think I'd go that far.
I
She's
would.
definitely meddling and manipulative.
No, rewatch the series. She's
I haven't seen the
awful.
series in a while.
She's a fucking terrible person. She's like deliberately trying to like manipulate the relationships between her friends. And it's like, what are you fucking doing?
That's true. I do remember that. Yeah.
And like she like fucking drags Marshall around, treats him like shit. Terrible character. Awful. Thanks, George.
We're going to have to do another episode on sitcoms because I feel like the one that we didn't cover the half of it.
Well, we kind of did that pregame for our patrons. Sign up at patreon.com/spacecastlepod. We did that episode for our patrons where we talked about sitcoms in general. Oddly enough, we were talking about How I Met Your Father and how Alex believes that the sitcom in general, as its current form, is dead. I don't disagree. I don't fully agree, but it's an interesting listen. Join up on Space Castle. Jesus Christ, guys, we need to wrap this up.
Let's go.
I'm drinking really high ABV beer on an empty stomach on a Friday night. Yeah.
Heyo.
This might be the one thing I edit out of the podcast.
I was going to say, were you going to finish your sentence?
I was waiting for you guys to mercifully play me off with some music.
No,
you have to wallow in it. You have to wallow.
Play me off with these notes. That awesome theme song that I co-wrote with our good friend Brian Lovett, aka B-Fuck Supreme. It's a great song.
As always, thank you to our listeners, and thank you to all of you for.
I'm going to take over because Alex is currently choking on his own saliva. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Space Castle. It is your clubhouse and hours for all things nerdy. I already plugged B-Fuck Supreme for his help in co-writing our theme song, D's Notes. I already plugged the Patreon, patreon.com/spacecastlepod. Join up. You get to help choose what we're going to talk about in future episodes. You get all kinds of cool shit like stickers and t-shirts, and we just had pogs made, and I'm thinking some of those need to go to our dope-ass fucking Glad to Not patrons. We're doing all kinds of fun shit. We're on YouTube now. We've got a series called Real Drunk where we, oddly enough, because I've been drinking tonight, we actually watch a classic movie, devise a drinking game for that movie, then we do the drinking game, then we try and review the movie after we're completely fucking wasted. It is a blast. We've got another episode coming up real quick for the month of February. That's all the things I got to plug. My name's DT.
I am the part-time librarian, Molotov Donghammer, Red Wine Alex, Master and Commander.
I think that's it.
good Lord. I've been Seth. Bye. Love you. I honestly, legitimately cannot wait until your titles become, literally a minute. Yeah, I, literally can't wait for it to get to that point, honestly.
Can we add the 2022 Spacey Award winner for the best deep space?
Yes, but we cannot call it Spacey.
I know, we're not going to
just
call
can't.
We might actually have to call it the Spaceys because now it's so awfully fucking off color and hilarious. I keep laughing every time I say it.
No, I don't think so. We could call it a Black Hole Award.
That sounds like Buttholes.
Winner of the Black Hole.
So what we do is we get Seth to 3D model the awards.
Yeah, I can totally do that.
Like the black hole looks like a butthole. and we find out the studio's addresses, and we mail them to them.
This is a joke, but like that sounds like a great idea. And also, I cannot think of anything illegal about it.
There's nothing illegal about it. They open it up and they get a butthole trophy, and they either keep it or they throw it away. Either way, we get a laugh out of it.
Yeah, we should do this.
We're fucking doing it. Yeah.
I love it. I love the idea of a social post that's just like it's like mailed from our address to Warner Brothers, and it's just like shoving a butthole in an envelope.
I'm gonna design this black hole butthole award. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to work on Monday. I'm gonna get a pad of plain white paper and sit in the common room and just start sketching buttholes.
Like super bad. You're just kind of a lunchbox full of buttholes.
Yeah, Lunchbox Full of Buttholes is the name of this episode, but it's also the name of my first ska album. Lunchbox Full of Buttholes. Amazing.
Are you going to try to edit that into the episode, or is it just going to be called that and nobody's ever going to know why?
I have no idea what form this episode is going to take. It's taken on a life of its own.
Yeah, this is a wild one.
We'll just see what happens.
Thanks again for listening to Comedy by Indie Drop-In. If you would like your show featured, reach out to us at Indie Drop-In on all social media or go to indiedropin.com. See you next time.